All right, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, welcome to the Doc in the Radical program today. Our topic is, has God abandoned us? Has God abandoned us? And the reason why we're on this topic today is I received a letter, email from one of our viewers, a longtime viewer, longtime member. And the letter touched me in such a way. I said, well, I wrote him an answer to the letter, but then I also said we'll do a live stream on it and talk about it. So hopefully, he'll be able to view the live stream when he's available. But the question of has God abandoned us is a question that is evidently on a lot of people's minds, wondering, has God abandoned us? Peace and blessings, Mayat. It's good to have you here with us, Queen. And so I thought that with everything that we go through as a people and, the ups and downs, the ins and outs, it's a good time to look at this thing and deal with it in the best manner and hopefully come out with a better situation. Because anytime that a person is in a mental space that they think about taking their own lives, they're in a grave situation that needs to be handled ASAP. So, this is our topic today. Has God abandoned us? So, Doc, as you heard, this letter came from a member who has been with us for a very long time. And I'll read the letter as we're getting into it and look at a few different situations. But what's your thoughts when you hear something or somebody think that, the God of justice has abandoned us? What comes to your mind?
I've been in that dark spot of and spent years in that dark spot, asking similar questions about why would a righteous God allow for this to happen? And I'm talking about personal and direct. Why would he allow this to befall me? Why would, and there's within that darkness, within that dark place, there's really no balm. There's no balm in Gilead that you're going to be able to apply there. Looking back on it, God had not abandoned me. Okay. Now, I don't know why he allowed what was befalling of me upon me to occur. I don't believe that God did that. But he did allow what happened to occur. And I'm one of those who tries to not rationalize and pontificate about certain things, especially when you're dealing with God. So, I rest upon the idea that our knowledge and our ways are not like his knowledge and his ways. And that, it all works together for the good. And the only thing that I can really offer that is a very general and almost universal solution or piece of advice, and it is quite simply, you got to do everything that you can possibly do to stay in the game. Um, to use Pac's words, after the darkest night always comes a brighter day. But there are places that you can be placed and experiences that you can have that will make you question if God has abandoned us. And I've heard, these strains of thoughts. Where was this righteous God when we were in the slave dungeons? Where was this righteous God during the Middle Passage, during the entire execution of slavery? So, yeah, I get where that comes from. As a generally speaking about Black people, and also personally speaking about myself. And I yield, brother.
Well, thank you, Doc. Maya says that, and I want to welcome Brother Willie Rivers to the program. Peace and blessings, Brother Willie. Maya says that Mandisa just passed away as well. She is said to have been in a bad mental state or waiting for an autopsy. She was on American Idol.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that she suffered from deep depression.
Mm-hmm. I was somewhat surprised to learn that Method Man suffers from deep depression as well. And he said, I just hope, that and he was speaking to nobody in particular, but he said those who are suffering from this mental illness, I hope that your tomorrow is better and brighter than your today was. And yeah, it's a lot more the idea of mental illness, of depression, is much more common within America, and Black America in particular, than we would ever like to think.
Wow. As this is going to be a very sobering program today. Um, hmm. Thinking about all of the things that we go through, just on a daily grind.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it could be pretty taxing.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about depression and your ability to be able to pull yourself out, because sometimes you don't have that ability to pull yourself
Mm-hmm.
out.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I always say, and this thing I don't even wish on the enemy, and I can't stand their ass. But I don't heartbreak. I don't wish that on nobody, because noticing that can send you literally insane.
Mm-hmm.
Insane, and the crying and all of that you're going through. I don't wish that on nobody, not even the cracker.
And that's if you're able to cry. That's if you're able to even get that expression and that emotion out. Sometimes we're just bottled up and almost in a consistent state of paralysis, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, religiously. Yeah.
And Maya says, while we are waiting on God, God was waiting on us. I guess I'll go straight to the letter. And I'm not going to share screen with the letter, because then the person's name would be out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to do that. I'll just read it. Peace and blessings. I saw your message on Instagram saying that you were observing Ramadan. Well, unfortunately, I hate to tell you, but I'm not doing it. And I'm not a Muslim no more. I'm not religious or even spiritual anymore, for that matter. With the hardships that I'm going through, there's no reason and purpose for me to follow blind faiths. It's not even just about me, but also with all the stuff going on in the world right now, in everything that has happened in the past. Y'all been waiting on Prophet Muhammad, Jesus, Buddha, Jehovah, Allah, or God to come and deliver us. You've been waiting on them for centuries, for millennia. And what has been happening all those years? Slavery, genocide, colonization, all of which still happens to this day. Children I see in Ghana living in the slums and filth, coming up to foreigners and begging for money. People all over Africa broke and hungry, while the crackkkas and the Asians that live there are living their best lives. Children in Palestine getting slaughtered by the Israelis, and then animals losing their habitats as a result of over human population and development while getting poached and hunted at the same time. So tell me, if the Most High made this world good and green, why has he slash she been allowing such atrocities to happen? Because the truth of the matter is, there is no creator. We are our own God. We have the power to destroy this capitalist system of slavery overnight. But too many of us are dumbed down and wholeheartedly believe that the government, who is really truly wicked and evil, cares for us when it serves quite the contrary. So I no longer follow a belief system that leads people's minds astray and gets them to believe false hopes and dreams. It's just getting us nowhere. I think for myself and do not allow sources outside my mind to think and tell me. And that's their letter. Maya says, I'm not waiting for a savior. I'm working to save myself. I am God. God is me. What's your thoughts, Doc?
First, I would like to say, I appreciate the trust to be able to share what is going on with you. Although I don't know your identity, but it's hard to really. Okay, I'll approach it this way, and this is really how I look at the God that I serve. I learned, and I graduated from a Catholic high school for some other reasons I don't want to go into, but while there, we had to take basically Catholic class, and we learned about the church, we learned about history, and all of that. And one of the things that I still hold on to, and this is the late '80s when I was in high school, is the clockmaker theory. They had all these theories about God and about and this and that, and the one that's always stuck with me is the idea that God is actually, I know he's omnipotent, I know he's omniscient, and I know he's omnipresent, but he created the world as a clockmaker creates a clock, and then he set it in motion. And he can intercede when he wants to. And those are those times that we refer to as miracles. because the way the clock normally works, this should not have happened. I don't think that we can. I don't think that we're in a good position when we're evaluating and examining God, whatever God you serve, during our moments, our trials and our tribulations. In actuality, I believe that those are the moments where your faith should increase in God, because there's really no other way that you're going to get out of some of the fixes, especially being Black in America, that we found ourselves in, except for God interceding. It's difficult when you're going through, especially if you're going through something that is so elongated and prolonged that it seems like it'll never end, to hold on to God's unchanging hand. But I'll tell you the truth. That's what I've learned to do through it all, to just hold on to God's unchanging hand. Many of the naysayers, many of the critics who would denounce this letter, they would say, well, this is a person who has a reprobate mind, that God has abandoned them, that God has loosened them, and they've in many ways gone crazy. I don't see that. What I see is a significant trial, as so many figures in Scripture have had terse moments and trials that were checking their faith, yet at the exact same time creating the building blocks for even more significant character of the individual. So that's what I'm thinking right now, that we've had a person who is experiencing hell on earth. And for me, hell is distance, not necessarily the absence, but distance from God, from the Most High. And I yield, brother.
Excellent. Thank you, Doc. It's not easy living in America, and I would assume it's not easy living anywhere, especially if you're not rich. If you're rich, maybe it's a little more easier. You don't have the problems that poor people have, or the middle class have, but you still got your own set of issues.
Yeah, I mean, it's just some different problems, Yeah, they have their issues. I mean, we see them killing themselves. Look at it, and not to single her out, but Regina King, with all of her fame and fortune, her son committed suicide. He unlived himself, as they like to say. There's it's going to rain on the just and the unjust in this world.
Definitely. And I think that whenever a person is in that bad space, they definitely need to be able to reach out to somebody, and help pull them out back into the light. Because if you sit in that darkness and you're feeding your mind more darkness on darkness on darkness, it will make you react in a very negative way. That will cause you to, do something to yourself or to somebody else that, really shouldn't be done. And one thing, Doc, I don't think that when people think about contemplate suicide, they don't think about the family members who are going to have to carry their bodies, or the family member that finds their body. None of that is thought about. But it really needs to be thought about. how will my mother, how will my father, how will my friend, handle this? How? Um,
Yeah, but
because you could have a chain reaction.
yeah,
You kill yourself, and then somebody, oh, because you kill yourself, I'm gonna kill myself.
yeah,
Um, you know,
yeah. I mean that darkness is it's in many ways. And like I said, I dealt with it. Um, it's in many ways like being in a blacked out room. You can't see others. All you can see is the darkness. All you can feel is the pain. And only if some light, a flicker of light, could be put in there, it could make a world of difference. Yeah, yeah.
mhm. Take this time to welcome Tranquil to the program. Peace and blessings. We're glad that you're here. And Tranquil says they can't think beyond their pain. And that part right there, that the doctor, you think that the pain of the situation blocks your ability to think, to make rational decisions. So, what's your thoughts on that? Because I think that's the problem, right?
Yeah, that is the problem. I mean, you got to think that pain, even if it's smashing your hand in a door, um, it is so intense. It is a singular pain that kind of blocks out everything else. So when you're talking about this type of pain, this type of unconscionable pain, it's ironic that you focus so much of your time and so much of your mental efforts on solving this pain. And the engagement with that pain intensifies the pain and drives you further into a spiral because you understand now that you can't solve this pain. So it's in many ways a very cruel irony.
Mm, mm, mm. Tranquil says, I suffer from insomnia, and there are times I'm so tired I can't think straight because I have not slept. I'm moving through the day like a zombie. I liken that to how one must feel in that space. Um, yeah, you know, wow. I know for me, and I'll be a little transparent here, but for me, Doc, my mom died when I was 13,
Hmm.
and I don't know how, but because I never said anything to anybody, but my mom called us one day, and checking on me, my sister, and my two brothers, and I was the oldest, and she spoke to me, and then passed the phone to my sister, and all of a sudden, my sister said, "Mom, man gonna kill himself." And I'm like, where'd you get that information from? Who told you that? Because I damn sure didn't never say nothing like that. But she was right. That was my thinking. My mom was in the hospital with cancer, dying. We didn't even know she was dying, but that's what was going on. But it was to the point for me, 13 years old, growing up, seeing my mom, getting beat up by my stepdad, um, and just going to school, holes in your pants, holes in your shoes, dealing with that kind of thing, right? You get to a point where you're like, shit, I can do better, not even by being here. Ain't nobody gonna miss me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that was my thought, but I never verbalized that. But my sister said that to my mother, then my mother made me get back on the phone. And her words to me was, Maurice, I want you to live for me.
Hmm.
And those words actually saved my life.
Mm.
And she made me to promise that I would live for her. And I did, and I'm still here to this day. But um, um,
You know, one of the things for me, when I lost my mother, I handled it differently than most people would have handled it. To this day, to this very moment, I've never cried about my mother's passing. Never, you know, I wasn't saddened. She had been sick for a while, suffering from sarcoidosis, which is in many ways what Bernie Mac died of. The exact same thing. It's something, a scarring of the lungs that impacts African Americans disproportionately. But I ended up having to. I was in Houston, and my mother was at a Sunday school conference in Akron, Ohio. I'm from Mansfield, Ohio, which is approximately an hour from Akron. And when she got sick, she was with her best friend, Sister Margaret Ware. And my sister called me and she says, well, you know, mommy got sick. And I'm like, okay. I had to explain to her. I said, listen, I know y'all are going to Akron. Okay. You know where I'm at. When you call me, I need to have a unemotional analysis of what's going on. And principally what I need to know is, do I need to come home? Because if I need to come home, I'm going to actually start that process. And it was a Saturday. I kept everything as normal as I could. I kept my son's haircut appointment. I kept my haircut appointment. And when I got back home, I got the call, say, yeah, they want you to come home. Okay, cool. My way of going through it was, it emanated from the question that I asked my sister. Two questions. One was, how are you doing? And she said, oh, I'm a wreck. Okay. How's daddy doing? She said, well, he's crying at every moment of the day where he would do something for my mother. Like when he would warm her car up, he would cry at that time, you know. And so driving, because I had to drive from Houston to, I had to drive 20 hours to get home. And I was preparing myself for what I needed to do for them. And so I threw myself into that. And that's really where I kept myself. And it's really, you know, where I stayed. And I could almost argue it's where I'm at right now. And I'm a believer. And so as a believer, I know that my mother went on to glory. She's where my grandmothers are. You know, God blessed me with 3 grandmothers. She's with them. They're all together. Now, if I want to see them again, which I obviously do, there's some things on in this earthly realm that I gotta do, and some things I gotta avoid, and what have you. And so, in many ways, that's my version of living for them. When I got sick, I was, I had the out of body experience, and went somewhere else. And I tell you this, the light I went to was not white. So I guess I wasn't going where the Caucasians go. My light was a colored light. But I was sent back. And My rationalization for why I was sent back is that I got a son and I got to be here for him regardless. So I got kicked back. The idea of being able to focus on something beyond your own personal problems, your own personal situation, is key to surviving, the hunt. Robert Johnson referred to it as hellhounds on my trail. The devil, depression, that enemy within is always hunting us, seeing if they can shake us and eventually devour us. So it's crucial that one is able to, especially for Black men, to reach out. Hopefully you got somebody that you can talk to about significant things. Somebody. Everybody needs somebody. And I yield, brother.
Definitely, that's very much true. I want to welcome Earth Angel 1105 remix to the program. Peace and blessings, Queen. We're glad that you're here.
Is that a power boo boo?
Yep.
Okay.
Just like I said, so even it's hard for me to talk about that because I haven't gotten over it. From my mom, I haven't gotten over it.
Well, I mean, the thing is you'll never get over it. I tell people it's like a cumbersome load, emotional load. You're going to learn how to carry it easier so that you don't fall down while you're carrying it. But that load's still there. Mm-hmm. You'll never get that load off of you emotionally. I can tell you for me, I paid my mother's cell phone bill for years so that I could call her phone and I could hear that same message over and over and over again. And that was probably my most significant fear, that I would forget what her voice sounded like. So, yeah. Well, go ahead, brother. I hate to cut you off.
No, you're good, Doc. That's amazing. And I wish I had that ability because I don't even really remember what my mom's voice sounds like. But I know that, we have to navigate our way through the different potholes, the hills, the valleys that we are in. We got to navigate our way through. And, unfortunately, the way the world is, it doesn't make it easy. And then you have with Black men, like, when my grandmother died, my uncle told me, you can't cry.
Yeah.
You got to hold it together. You're the oldest grandson. Crying, you can forget that.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you see that? Because I don't think that would be the best thing. I don't think that was good advice to tell me.
Of course it's not. Of course it's not. But the thing is that Black men have often been denigrated into something that is less than human. Our value and our worth, our utility for so many of the women that we deal with, some of the women that we even marry and have children with, is reduced down to your ability to provide. And the caricature of what a man is in many ways a very stoic individual who doesn't feel anything, doesn't express anything. Seeing my father cry at my mother's passing, that was only the second time I ever saw my father cry. The other time was the passing of his closest cousin. who died in a house fire, and they had been out drinking and partying that very night. So 2 hours later, he succumbed to smoke inhalation.
Mm.
We're told to shut that part of us off. We're socialized to do that. If you cry, you're weak. If and what that ends up doing is bottling our emotions up. And the only thing, unfortunately, for many of us that will serve as a reprieve from that is actually a bottle of alcohol, a bottle of liquor, weed, this and that, because you're in many ways, it's miraculous that Black folk in general are still alive in this nation insane, because there's stress, there's psychological stress at every single turn in every single moment. Even if you have employment, you're going to be faced with stress as a result of the lackings and the needs of those who are around you. And I'm not even talking about children. I'm talking about other family members who need to hold something, who need, because they're on the verge of losing their housing. My sister, she called me, it's probably about 2 years ago. And she said, look here, I need your financial help. And I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? And she said that one of my nieces had fallen behind on her mortgage and she was about to be evicted. She said, we got to pay this. And I'm like, well, let her lose her house. She said, if she lose that house, she moving in here.
Mm.
She said, you think I'm crazy now? You wait till they come up in here, her and her 7 kids.
Mm.
Okay. So, that stress that was on her, that was transferred on to me, that was, in how many times and how many moments can you withstand that, before you crazy too, before you never get settled. You can never go back to what was your normal, because you're waiting on the other shoe to drop all the time. And being a Black man, I mean, come on, at what moment are we not stressed? I don't know a Black man alive who, when he's driving his car and the police pull up behind him, that doesn't get butterflies in his stomach, because this very well could be your day.
Right.
I don't know a Black mother who has children that goes out, be it to school, be it to a football game, that doesn't have butterflies and uncertainties about if their child is going to make it back. Okay. And what makes it even worse for us as a community is that, and it's gotten a lot better now, but we shunned the idea of mental health. You need to go talk to somebody else. Oh, you must be crazy. Well, yeah, the majority of us are crazy. All you gotta do is turn on YouTube and listen. Hear the logic, hear the inability to be introspective, to analyze, to understand what's wrong with you, because you're not fine. None of us are fine.
Exactly. Doc, do you think that you Black men or both Black men and Black women have to build a alter ego, maybe? Because I'll tell people, they're in my private company. There's Brother Muhammad, then there's Maurice, right? And where Brother Muhammad is boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm saying? But if you're dealing with Maurice may not be like that.
One of the most familiar refrains for me is people saying that they thought I was arrogant when they met me. Okay. And I would have to ask them, because it happens so often. My question to them is this: Was I on the stage or behind a mic when you first met me? And invariably they're like, yeah, you were lecturing, you were on this TV show, you did this radio show, and then I got a chance to meet you, and I'm like, and I was nothing like you expected.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm the quietest one in my family, and I mean my entire family. I don't speak much, if at all. So if you met me in my alter ego, his name is JT.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you met JT, JT is loud, braggadocious, JT cusses, JT does all of these things that exhilarate people, that cause controversy. There are times when JT is talking, I'm in the back of my head like, I can't believe this fool just said that. If you read Foolish Floyd, an African American contrarian, that's who JT is. Okay. But it's a different ego. It's a different person. It's a different, I just had a situation where dealing with a young lady who her sister is dating a guy who, he's who he is, what have you. I won't go into all of that, but I got to one up this brother. Okay. So I waited until I knew they were there, and I ordered some cookies, some Tiff's treats, because her mother told me that she likes lemon sugar cookies. I timed it perfectly, brother. It was a thing of beauty. They actually had to pick up. They had to open the door and take the hot cookies and hand deliver them from me. When you care to give the best, this is how you do it. That's a part of me. That's JT. Okay. Whereas, James, and if you were to go to my hometown and you would ask people, I'm looking for James Jones, you would never find me. Because they don't know me as James Jones. They definitely don't know me as Dr. Jones. Okay. They know me strictly by my nickname. And that's just what it is. So yeah, we have to, some people refer to it as code switching. I don't think it's code switching. I believe it's the ability to send your representative out into the world. And that representative is in many ways like a centurion protecting who you actually are. And when you come amongst loved ones, you come amongst those, you can let all of that stuff go. It's one of the reasons why I would tell people during the Obama presidency, I said, the most powerful person in the world is actually Michelle Obama. Because she's the one that gets to see that man and influence that man when he strips all of that regalia off. So yeah, I'm with you right there. That multiple personalities almost.
Definitely. I want to look at Earth Angel comments. She says, when my mother transitioned, after a number of events, I realized I lost the only one outside of the Creator who honestly had my best interest and well-being. There's something about mom's love that overrides everybody else. And
Ain't that a bitch?
And that love lets you know that you can do anything, and you're well protected. But outside of that, when that is taken away from you, it's like you're damn near walking through hell.
Well, for me, and I can just speak about my thing, the day that I don't know if the word depression is correct. I think it's anger. I think that the day that I'm angry at God, and we got an annual appointment for me to be angry, is Mother's Day. That's a hard one to carry when you're a member of what I term the unluckiest and unfortunate club known to man. And there's a group of us, about 14, 15 of us, who on Mother's Day, we call each other to check on each other, or we send a text to each other, because it is excruciating, and it's really excruciating for individuals who are not married, or involved with a female that has children. Because if that's your situation, you can go ahead and kind of muddle your way through that day,
Right.
by focusing on, well, yeah, y'all gonna get this for your mother, and this and that. You ain't got that, and you got to sit there for that 24 hours incubated by regret, anger, that only intensifies. To go to church, and it's gonna really intensify, because you're gonna see people there that didn't spend time with their mother the way that you spend time with yours.
Mm-hmm.
And it causes you to in many ways question God. Why did you forsake me? Why did you take my mother? And you know how I felt about my mother, and you know how she felt. And if you don't catch yourself, you're gonna wind up in a bad place.
Definitely. And I'm going to read some more of this letter. This is part 2 of it. And I got to kind of change it up a little bit, because I don't want to give away more identifying information. So it says, peace and blessings. I sent him a message saying that, I'm going to, well, I'll read what I sent him. I said, well, I will address this today. I'll do a live stream to answer in detail. The short answer is evil was allowed for the perfection of the original man. God saw in us a behavior that he didn't like, so he placed a ruler in the earth, and the angel said that we extol your holiness, but what will you place in it except that which will cause the shedding of blood? And God said, I know that what you know not. He wanted us to know what evil given power could do. After we suffer from their evil, we would never want to do evil again. If you don't believe you're blessed by Allah, then that's on you. But I know my God saved me and delivered me, and I will never turn my back on him. Allah says that, did you think you would not be tried while others who came before you were tried? This is so that Allah will know the truthful from those who are liars. But Allah already knows those who are liars. We don't. This is the manifestation of our own hypocritical character. So that's for me, how I look at why we go through what we go through, that we all are being tried. You say you believe in God, or as a Muslim, you say there's no God besides Allah, and I'm gonna give my life before my word fail, and all these things. But then when trial come upon us, then some of us, we break, we walk away, we turn away, and then that shows not just us, but people who was watching us, that maybe you really didn't believe what you said you believed.
The story of Job.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Do you think that it's healthy for us to look at problems in our life as a trial, or as this is just a season I'm in? What is your thoughts on that, Doc?
Yeah, I mean, it's as believers. I mean, we have to believe that God is the orchestrator and the controller of all. and everything works together for the good. So yeah, it's a season. It's not a curse. It's not something that's going to dog you forever. There's something that you're to learn during this period that's going to prepare you for even greater glory. One of my very good friends, Eric Morris, we were having a conversation, and like I said, I went through my trial was longer than even 10 years. Okay, we're talking about a decade of every day I had to deal with this. And Eric said, and he's one of the funniest guys. He said, I don't know how you do it. He said, you don't smoke, you don't drink. He said, how do you make it? He said, one thing is for sure, that when you come out of this, you'll be doper than you were before,
Mm.
because you'll be unshakable. That was the word that he used. And in every way, I can tell you, I am pretty much unshakable. Um, I'm a believer, and I don't understand how these things are placed together, but somehow, some way, I'm going to be a part of this. May just be a minor part. I don't know, what my role is going to be, but I know that God is going to place me where He needs me to be. And I'll give you just a quick example of what I'm talking about. I had a student who's actually over the past 2 weeks gained some form of social media notoriety. Something that he did was retweeted by Charlemagne the God. And he said, man, I got over 1 million views on this one video I did. And from there, everything else has kind of accelerated and taken off. Well, he's one of my favorite students. The brother is funny as can be and what have you. But I had him in one class. And the class I had him in, you want to talk about a brother who looked rough. He looked rough. Okay. And turns out he had lost his financial aid.
Mm.
And he said, Doc, I'm working 2 jobs. I'm trying to do schoolwork. I'm trying, blah, 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 blah. The brother didn't make the cutoff. If I went strictly by grades, nah, he didn't make the cutoff. But, I'm a person who believes that there's some moments where you need to say yes, even when the evidence says no.
Mm.
And God has placed that type of heart in me. And He sends this young man into my class. And I was prayerful about what it is that God wanted me to do. And ultimately I helped this young man get his financial aid back.
Mm.
He goes on to graduate. Now he has a master's. He has a photography business. He's a community preservationist and all of these different great things. That was God.
Mm.
That was God. And God in many ways put in this young man that, listen, don't waste another day, because you were supposed to be back at home. And it's only his stubborn pride that let him, stay there and try and work and earn the money to pay his tuition in that semester. I believe that that's how God works, that He puts us in places where we need to be, where He needs us to be. And we don't fully understand that. I'm an avid walker. And when I say I'm an avid walker, I'll go out and walk for 8 hours, man. I
Mm.
like walking. I like hiking. I used to walk this one walking trail. And I've just always believed that when you see a person, you acknowledge them. And on one of the benches of this walking path, there appeared this white guy who every morning, and he's on the top of the trail. I'm on the bottom of the trail. And you probably got maybe 300 feet between us. I would yell to him, "Good morning, sir. Good morning." And he would sit up because he was homeless apparently because he was sleeping on that bench, and he would wave at me. Well, this went on for about maybe 2-3 weeks, and I didn't see him anymore. The homeless, they're transient, so I didn't give a second thought to it. Fast forward maybe 2 years, I'm walking, and lo and behold, there he was sitting on that bench again.
Mm.
And he said, "Would you please stay there? I need to come down." And turns out he was a businessman who had lost his house. They got these big, humongous mansions that line the walking trail. He had lost one of those houses. He said, "I sent my wife and my kids to be with her people." He said, "But I couldn't let my house go." He said, "So I just stayed here and I just slept here." And he said, "But every morning," he said, "I thought about killing myself at times and this." He said, "But every morning when you walk by, you validated my humanity by telling me good morning." He was able to pull himself back together somehow. He lost his house, but he was able to work him, get himself back together. And for me, it only takes a moment of kindness to say hi to somebody, to make somebody laugh. Like that piece of the boo boo, looked like a Hershey kiss, but it was boo boo that was in that meme thing. Give somebody something to smile about instead of always putting harshness on them.
Right. Doc, do you think suicide, having suicidal thoughts, is a disease?
It's a part of mental illness. It's certainly a part of mental illness. It is a part of a person who has had a break. I was looking at a brother who was talking about having lost his son. And I don't know how that brother could go on, but somehow he went on. He did not self-delete himself. I hope to never be in that situation because I don't know what I would do. Because I can't imagine living in a world where my son's not here. I just can't. I can't imagine that. Now, is that a part of? I believe that the grief is a part of depression, which is a part of mental illness, which leads you to certain things. They've given up hope. They don't see any way out of this situation, and a momentary decision is going to have eternal consequences.
Okay, I'm going to read some more of this letter. He said, "I'm losing my mind right now. I'm still having episodes of suicidal indications, but my job is threatening me that if I don't shut up and suck it up, I'll be fired, and there won't be a career left for me anymore. I'm up for reassignment at the end of the month, but I still haven't decided whether to stay or just fall out. I feel like no other job in the world pays as good as I'm getting now, and I still haven't decided about going back to college. I'm going to seek mental therapy as soon as I get back. I'm having very hard times right now, and I don't feel like I have enough support." And I was telling him about a Vietnamese friend. He says, "And about your Vietnamese friend, I want to tell you to wish them goodbye, because I've also had more than a plethora of genocidal thoughts that I think are permanent and I can't get out of my mind. I'm so angry at the Vietnamese. I'm so angry at the Cambodians. I'm so angry at the Japanese. I'm so angry at the Koreans. I'm so angry at the Filipinos. I'm so angry at the East Indians. I'm so angry at the Chinese. And most of all, I'm so angry at the Europeans. Do you know that these Southeast Asians are heavily responsible for poaching and wildlife trafficking all over the world? I just read on Instagram the other day that pre-colonial populations of rhinos and African elephants will never be achieved again because these demonic Asians keep killing them for their horns and ivory. And the Europeans keep going to Africa hunting them for sport. I hope you're aware of all this. If I was an extremely powerful person, perhaps more powerful than God, if I had immortal superpowers, I'll burn down all of Europe. I'll burn down all of Asia, the London Bridge, the Eiffel Tower, the Roman Colosseum, the city of Venice, Great Wall of China would all be completely erased from human history. Future generations will never, ever know of their establishments. All of Europe and Asia would be completely burned until there is no cracker or chink or ching kong left. I really wish for all of them to get wiped out already. And I wholeheartedly don't think God is doing the universe enough justice by decreasing their birth rates. These fuckers ain't dying fast enough. One of the careers I'm thinking about pursuing after my time is becoming a certified eugenist. I want to either work at Planned Parenthood or establish a deceitful abortion clinic. Similar to Planned Parenthood, I even want to write Planned Parenthood a letter and petition Planned Parenthood to expand their focus on all these Asian countries, especially the Southeast Asian countries, and that damnable land instead of focusing on Africa. Black folks don't deserve to die. These crackers and Asians. I know I shouldn't do this, especially towards my people. I know it's evil. Part of me is telling me to do it, but I feel like it would do nature a huge deal of justice and life would completely restore again. But I'm heavily contemplating it. Truth has come to you. So what are your thoughts on that, Doc?
Oh, I think that you have to go back to basics and straighten out your priorities. And the first basic is self-preservation. You're going to need to work on yourself and not even worry about anyone else in the outside world. Now saying that, I'll say this as well, that man is not your source. God is your source. And just as you had financial fortune in the position you're in now, you can't get greater fortune, and you can't see greater fortune because you're holding on so tightly to a position that apparently God, in a place God doesn't want you in anymore. It's time to separate yourself and to build yourself up psychologically and not worry about what it is that you're losing. Think about what it is that you're gaining and you're winning. In many ways, you have to take care of self first. And if the situation, the context, the job that you're in right now is not serving you, it's time to go. It's time to go. And I understand that it's difficult and scary to go, but you got to rely on God at this point and say, okay, I'm trusting in you. And the truth of the matter is that you don't know where God's trying to position you. You know, we have to remember that the man that wrote the majority of the New Testament, the Apostle Paul, he slayed Christians, you know, and God did a work with him. So it's time for you to come home, and it's time for you to get yourself right, because the stress, the strain, and the anger that is flowing off of all of those things of being around these very bad people has the ability to change you permanently. And I would hate for that to happen to anybody, for you to be imprinted so significantly by those who are really not worth your time. One of the wisest things, one of the wisest conversations that I've heard on the internet came from a gentleman by the name of Wallow. He's a rapper of some kind. And Wallow talks about being incarcerated. And he's in a maximum security prison, and he goes in and he meets his cellmate, older black guy, OG, as he called him. And the OG asked him, he said, "So how long did it take?" And he said, "I didn't catch what he was saying. I didn't know what he was actually saying to me." And Wallow says, but he repeated it. "So, young blood, how long did it take?" And he said, "Man, how long did what take?" "Whatever action you did that led to you being incarcerated in here." And he said, for the first time in his life, he said, "Damn." And Wallow told him what he had done. And he said, "So how long did it take?" He said, "About 5 seconds." He said, "So in 5 seconds, you gave away 15 years of your life on somebody that you don't even like." And I think that that's kind of a perspective, a sobering perspective, that all it takes is a moment. You know, if you're able to get away from these people, these bad people, get away from them. You know, your experiences that you've had thus far, you don't know how your work experience is going to be looked at by other people, you know, in the next sector, in the next moment, in the, you know, the next restaurant, the next store, the next, you know what I'm saying, and the next construction site. You don't know. There's just some times where you got to leave. You got to preserve yourself, preserve your sanity, because you don't want to be the next one that we're talking about. Yo, how long did it take for you to get a death penalty? How long did it take for you to get a life sentence with no chance of parole? I don't even know who wrote the letter, but I can tell you for sure, these people aren't worth your life. All the good that you can do on the outside, and try to reorient your mind towards doing something positive. You don't have to worry about bad people, because karma's gonna get them. You're not karma, so you go forward and you do good, so that the good vibes and the positive things that are due to you can be delivered at your doorstep. And I yield, brother.
Awesome. Maya says that the people who hurt me and brought me to the sunken place, I realized never cared if I was living or not. Hermit mode saved my life. Is there a point, Doc, that we need to push away and, be to ourselves?
You know, yeah. The truth of the matter is that think about how, say we're going to the movies. Think about how we talk about that. We say, "Well, I'm going to the movies. I'm gonna go see this movie by myself." Instead of reorienting our minds and saying, "I'm going with myself." Enjoy your own company. Get to know who you are. Go inside. What makes you laugh? Many people don't know what makes them laugh. I was at a conference, and there was a couple of us. We decided, we're academicians, we're intellectuals. We getting ready to have a night out on the town. We went to the ice cream shop. Okay, that's as funky as it's gonna get for us. And one of my colleagues, I was like, yo, let me treat you to some ice cream. And so we get up in the line, and we're going through. I knew what I wanted, and she starts crying. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? You don't want ice cream? And she said, I don't know what I like anymore. She said, I simply eat what my children leave. Whatever's left, if we go to ice cream shop, whatever's left, I eat what they, and I'm like, that's a person who has kind of lost their identity. She needs to take herself out on an ice cream date and just sit there and try that little spoon that they give you as a taster. You need to reorient yourself with being able to put yourself first. And putting yourself first, there's nothing selfish about that. Because if you're not whole, if you're not ready, you can't be at 100% maximum for everybody else. Not your children, not your spouse, not your friends, not your family. It's okay to be with yourself. Get in your car and go for a ride down a road that you ain't never went down before. Go for a walk. Like I said, I'm an avid walker. I put my headphones on, man, and look here, man, I'm gone. And I can hear God in those desolate places. Or you can do it like we've been doing it, and it is quite simply continually pumping in external stimuli into our brains, into our souls, and into our minds. Learn to cherish yourself. Go to the grocery store, get your favorite food, stay in, watch Dateline like I do, and have yourself a knockdown good time. And forget it if you got a pet. You and your pet, y'all ought to be doing it. Y'all ought to be doing it the night up. You don't need people around you all the time. Learn to breathe. Learn to hear.
Beautiful, beautiful. How do you restore proper balance, Doc? Because that's one thing to reading the last part, or the second part of the letter. It seems that there's a loss of proper balance. So there's some need to be rebalanced. And how do you think that's done?
In what area of life?
Your personal area, your personal life. Because if you don't, we're social beings, so we should be, having good social relationships. But when you're in a place where you don't have good social relationships, everybody that is around you are not for you, and you're the odd fella that's sticking out. And so you're picked on, you're made fun of, you're the brunt of jokes. You don't have a woman, to help you through. And you're nowhere where your comfort zone is.
I would say that the path to, under those circumstances, the path to restoring balance is going to be finding yourself and what it is that you enjoy, what it is that you love to do. Jawanza Jufu said this to me once. He said, "Do what you love, but do it so well that others will pay you to do it for them." Separate yourself from your irritants, from the things that are bothering you, and understand that if you do have to work that job for some time, or any job in particular, you know what time you got to be at that job, and you know what time you get off. So why don't you set a similar schedule and adhere to it for me time? And you do whatever it is that you need, that you desire to do during your me time. What makes you happy? What makes you laugh? But one thing that I'm just an advocate for is that conquer the fear and understand that it might just be time to go away from those people, to change your context, change your situation, and move on to the next thing. Because one thing I know for sure is that when God wants to move you, you're gonna move. You're gonna move, and He needs you to move. He has a higher purpose for you. There's someone coming down the pipeline that's going to need some help, and you're going to be instrumental in providing them with that help.
Definitely, definitely. You know, Mayat asked the question, what's more important, the job or self? Is can you even detach job from yourself? Because you need the job in order to take care of yourself and any other thing. So can you separate the two?
No, no, no. You don't necessarily need the job to take care of yourself. You need to trust in God, and God will guide you to a situation where you're going to be taken care of. Without self, there is no job. There is no self to work a job. Um, it's the self. It's always the self. Exactly, Maya. He can get another job. You just don't see it now because you're so engrossed and entangled with these people. You gonna get another job. Trust me, you gonna get another job. Okay, because if you don't, what you gonna do? Be out here begging for change? You're gonna get another job. Trust in yourself. Have faith in yourself.
Mhm.
You know, one of the things, a guy that I went to Ohio State with, Calfon Ben Horace, he said this about Black folk, but I think it's applicable to any American worker. He said, what Black folk don't understand is that you're never the machine when you're talking about capitalism. You're merely the grease that oils the machine. And once that grease loses its viscosity, they discard it and they put more grease in it. That's simply what it is. That job was there before you got there, and that job will be there after you leave. You are not the work that you do. I'm reminded of a Cosby Show episode where Heathcliff Huxtable, who of course was a OBGYN,
Mhm.
but in his heart of hearts, because he was trying to fix the doorbell, okay, and he just couldn't fix it, and he had to hire these workers to come in to fix the doorbell. And here he comes out the back with a master mechanics tool belt with all these tools. And the message is, you're not your occupation. You know what you love to do, you're going to find a way to do it. But you're not, I'm a writer. I'm going to write every day. I don't care if I'm in the academy, if I'm not in the academy. I don't care if nobody reads what I write, but I got to write every day. And I'm going to find an outlet for me to write every day. So you have to figure it out, and understand it's a path. There are no human certainties, but there's certainties with God. Step out on faith.
Mm. Definitely, definitely. Tranquil says, wow, that makes it very plain, Doc. We will be discarded when we are no longer of use to them.
Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, I don't care what occupation you're in. You can be the president. Look at what's going on now.
Mhm.
Telling them they too old. We need some young blood up in there. You can be a pilot. There's no end. That machine is gonna keep on rolling. It's gonna keep on rolling.
Mhm.
And so you have to figure out what is your gift. Once again, Jawanza Gunjufu. He was such a big influence of me when he talked to me. I was 17, 18 years old. And he said this. He said, you know, what would you want to do if money was not an issue? What could you wake up every morning and do and enjoy it? And I can tell you, arguing with some assholes is not the path that one should take. I consider myself very fortunate because I got an office. And if you do come to my office and I don't want you in my office, I'm not rude. I'm not going to, just put you out, but I can make you leave. Like Erica Badu said, I can make you put your phone down. I have a colleague who happens to be a man of God. And if I'm not in the mood for company, I go to Pandora and I hit Luther Campbell, Scarred. Captain D coming, verb coming, verb coming. And he say, okay, Dr. Jones, yeah, I'll get with you later. Okay. So, you pick your company, and you can't stew in trouble. You can, but you shouldn't. Don't base yourself in trouble. Because I don't have no evidence for this, but it's what I believe. I believe that is a highway path for illness, for physical illness to come in, the absence of joy, for psychological problems to come in. Break away, save yourself. Kind of like what they told black men to do with black women. Save yourself, black man. Okay, there comes a time when you got to break away.
Mm-hmm. Doc, what is the spiritual work that needs to be done to help rectify that situation?
He needs to reconvene with his God. He needs to talk to his God. Okay. One of the songs that I lift to is a DMX, Lord, give me a sign. He needs to listen to Lord, give me a sign. He needs to figure out, that he's not alone. Like X said, I'm still going through it. The pain and the hurt, soaking up water like rain in the dirt. He's got to reconvene with his God and whatever that means to him, because God is not the orchestrator of confusion or hurt and pain. And all one has to do is turn towards him and seek that embrace, because he's not going to turn you away, but you gotta find a space that nobody else can get into, especially nobody that's trying to do you harm, and reconvene with your God and talk to your God about what's going on, because there are no limits that God, and no problems that God can't solve.
Doc, what is the importance of love, real love, in people's
What do you mean by real love?
Real, as I'm not talking about, some
Mary J. Blige?
foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about, that protecting that love force that will cause you to do whatever you need to do to protect that person. How valuable is it that you feel that kind of love, not just at one time in your life, but throughout your life?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it is one of these central pillars and reasons for living. That's why it's important that you love this right here. It gives you a reason to continue to live, a reason to get up on a daily basis. Even when, your rising is not the most comfortable thing for you to do. Everyone needs something, somebody, be it a woman, be it your children, be it a pet. You need something to love, something to live for, something to go forward for, something to look forward to engaging into dealing with. Because it's you know, there's this great labor saying that without work all is rotten. One could put love in there. Without love all is rotten. And it's on us. The onus is upon us to make sure everybody got somebody they can love, that they can reach out to, that they can talk to. You know, I think that that's part of the rent that we pay to be on this planet. And we know some people who are lonely, some people who have no one for a host of reasons. Reach out to them, take care of them.
Definitely. You know, you remember the text I had sent you one day, and it was a girl singing no, she was coming in the house and she was singing something. And you know, I was sitting there looking at it and I was reflecting on us, and I began to cry. And I sent you the text and the video. You know, you replied with the feeling is mutual. And I asked myself after I finished crying and all that, but why was I crying? You know, why did it touch me in such a way that, you know, I had to reach out to you and let you know what is with that, you know, because I don't even understand it.
But see, the thing is that I don't think that was about you, if that makes sense to you. Once again, I'm just a firm believer that it all works together for the good. And the urge, the compulsion to reach out and to share something with someone that's coming from a internal position. It's almost a irresistible urge to do something. That's God using you to, in many ways, impact this person, because he knows that this person needs to hear that, needs to experience that at that very moment. You know, one of the, and I hope that you would put it back up. I think it was Mayat's comment where she says that she has never felt love. Says it's an emotion. I've never felt loved by anyone, not mother or father, and I don't care anymore. I love myself. Well, I love you as well. And my love is not an emotion. And that's one of the things that's got me in trouble with women. I don't believe in the romantic emotional love, the baby, baby, baby. Oh, I love you. You know, I don't believe in that. That's an emotion. It's fleeting. It can't be trusted. Because I can tell you, I wake up some mornings and I don't love myself. Okay. And I don't tie my responsibilities and my duties, and love is one of them, to something as fickle and fleeting as an emotion. I love you, and I'll continue to love you. And it's not a emotion that love is resting upon. It's anchored on a sense of responsibility and duty. Think about it this way, and this is how I've developed this over time. You know, during my long walks. Hope it wasn't a moment when I was about to have a heat stroke down here in this hot weather walking. But everybody got a type. Everybody got a type. I don't care who you are. Everybody got a type. And oftentimes we don't end up with our physical type when we're talking about a life partner, because hopefully we've, you know, prioritize some other things more important than the fleeting physical aspect of things. So what happens if your love is tied to emotion and you see your type? And I don't know about you. I'll say this about me, honestly, that I believe that the men that I'm descended from, I believe we all had the same type. Okay. And if we didn't have all had the same type, we all have the same reaction to our type. For me, it is you can hear it. It is a innate internal growl that comes from the center of my soul. Okay, like, okay. When I see my type. Now, if my love and my commitment is resting upon something like emotion, I'm over there trying to holler. But when my love is anchored on duty and responsibility, I know I can't go over there. Not that I don't want to, but I can't. And I got a colleague, my homeboy Ron Goodwin. We have a pact between us. Like, yo, if you see me with that 20-some-year-old thing, and and she done got me, come get me. I'm out of control. Come get me. So I don't anchor my love, what I consider love, to an emotion. I anchor it to duty, to purposefulness, and things like that. And, the idea of feeling loved by someone, I get that. I really do. But don't dare equate the absence of you feeling love and make that the equivalent to the absence of love. Because let's be honest, that us coming here every Friday is our ministry. It's a ministry of love. And just as hopefully we're feeding you guys are definitely feeding us. Just to know that you take time out to come here and listen to us is feeding us, is bolstering us, and what have you. So yeah, you're loved, but you got to remember that. And of course you should love yourself. Okay, but you are loved by others.
Definitely. Tranquil says, if it has not been suggested, I'd like to encourage the author of the letter to strongly consider speaking to a mental health professional.
Yeah.
And, we have definitely done that, and he has. He's done that. It helped for a little bit, and then, those thoughts start to come back.
Yeah, but I think that the thoughts may have come back because he's in the same situation, dealing with the same people. You know what I'm saying? If the thing that this, from your past when you was out there in the world, when you had that tightening in your chest because you ate them chitlins and hog maws, and they went in and cleared out your arteries, and then you sat down at next Thanksgiving and had another batch of chitlins and hog maws and pig feet. Yeah, put yourself under the same, and one of my favorite quotes by Dr. Phil McGraw, yes, Oprah's Dr. Phil, is the greatest indicator of future behavior is relevant past behavior. I think that the greatest indicator of the mounting of mental stress and maybe a mental illness is quite simply putting yourself right back amongst the people who have driven you to the brink of your sanity. Separate thyself from them, regardless of the cost.
That's right, regardless of the cost. Doc, there's this thing that Black people say, that we're cursed people. We've been cursed this, we're cursed that. And I've always rejected it. I don't believe that foolishness. But when you believe that you're cursed,
Mhm.
then that kind of like drives you away from God, right?
Well, I mean,
Uh,
it absolves you of any responsibility for bettering your condition. It
mm,
takes all of your agency away. It's the same thing with conspiracy theories. The idea, well, the white man is up against us, and then he ain't gonna let you do that. Well, you've lost the battle already, okay? Because you're not even trying anymore. So the
mm,
idea that you're sitting up under some curse, that some European witch with a chicken foot shook it at your great grandma, and
mhm,
y'all just can't get over that. Come on, that's foolishness. You're living in a world, as Minister Farrakhan said this, with conditions, that men have. Men are responsible for these conditions that you're living underneath. And if men are responsible for the condition that you're in, you're a man as well. You ought to be responsible enough to go ahead and fix and correct that condition. So no, I don't know. We're not living under a curse. If anything, we're living under the unfortunate reality that we're allowing people to pour into our souls and the minds of our children things that are going to get them to repeat the cycle that we have been in. But we can
mm,
break that cycle today.
mm. Definitely, definitely. Um, do you think that it's really beneficial um, to with the mind state that this person is in? Do you think it is beneficial for them to, you know, keep studying as far as what we have been through and what different people have been through in life? Do you think that that should be stopped at this point because maybe it's too much information, too much negative information? What's your thoughts on that?
No, for me, just like people have a nutritional diet, I believe you need a spiritual and an intellectual diet as well. And some of the stuff that has been poured onto us is something that would make a maggot gag.
Mm,
So we need to divorce ourselves from that. Don't listen to that. I remember listening to an associate, my son's aunt. I remember listening to her get cussed out by her baby daddy
mm,
on the phone.
mm,
Okay, she's sitting there crying with the phone up to her ear.
mm.
I walked over, grabbed the phone, and hung the motherfucker up. You get what I'm saying? You
Right,
you, you do have some agency here. You do have a choice here. Go ahead and go hang the damn phone up.
right. Mm, mm, mm. That is true. That is very, very true. Um,
Yeah, I mean, there comes a time when you really in every way have to divorce yourselves from the devils, by
mhm,
any means necessary. You can't be around those people because
mhm,
those people are going to in every way um sap you of everything. They're like vampires. They're coming
mhm,
for your physical energy, for your mental stability, and they're not going to stop. They have no quit in them, because in many ways what you're seeing them do is sport for them. They're
mhm,
devils. Separate from them. Go be around some people that you love. Go be around people that make you laugh. You know, you're gonna be all right if you can separate yourself.
mhm. Definitely, definitely. That's very, very, very important. And that's something that can be very easily done.
Yeah, I mean, it can be easily done. However, you know, making some chocolate chip cookies can be easily done as well, but you still got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to put some action to it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have to in many ways understand that when God is using a prick to agitate you, he's allowing some things. That's because he doesn't want you there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of what the immediate consequences may be with separating oneself from them, the long-term benefits are going to be through the roof.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely. You know, do you believe that when you make your prayers to God about, doing whatever it is that you want to do, um, do you think that not only the communication goes to the God, but that it does something to the inside of yourself, that it maybe makes you a little stronger? Or what is your thought? What is that when you pray? What?
I just think that communing with one's God, being able to silence the outside world, does something. Now, there's another part of this, which is quite simply that, and we constantly say this, those of us who believe in God during our prayers, thy will be done. Don't evaluate God's his ability to hear you and to love you. Don't evaluate that based upon what your petition was.
Mm.
Because if you're asking for something that that isn't working in his grand scheme of things, you're not going to get that. There's some things that he's going to withhold from you to protect from you, to protect you from it. There's some things that you just shouldn't have. And he understands that you shouldn't have it. And so he's not going to allow you to get those things. But what he will do is move you from point A to point B, because he has a larger master plan that is in store for you. Not, you know what I'm saying? Not what you want. Because hell, look here, man. If God gave me what I wanted, look at here. I would have been playing. I'd have been a shooting guard for the LA Lakers. And then I've been quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys and playing shortstop for the New York Yankees. Okay. But God let me down. He didn't give me the athletic ability to do that. And then I said, let me fly F-15. Clearly, I can't fly no F-15. They ain't gonna let me fly and I can't see. So my thing is that go, whether hook or crook you're gonna go. You can go kicking and screaming, or you can go willingly. Walk through that door and let God guide you in where it is you're going. Because it's you're being molded, you're being tested, and then you're going to be moved on to the next assignment because now you're ready.
Definitely. And for our health, what part, if any, does a good, loving relationship play in it?
Oh, I mean, it does amazing things. It reduces your anxiety. It anchors you in a place and with a person. And that's talking about a romantic relationship, but just even a familial relationship will anchor you and reduce your anxiety, your uncertainty, your insecurities, because we're not designed to be on this planet alone as a singular person. We're just not. One has to have some interpersonal communication and things like that. And that's coming from someone who, once again, I'm the quietest cat that you'll ever meet. There are I've had colleagues who have never heard me speak until they heard me on NPR or something like that. And it's not intentional. It's not as if I'm like, oh, they right there, I ain't gonna talk. I just don't talk a lot. You know, when a couple of days ago, my headphones, my Beats by Dre, went down. Cheap damn things. They only work for 20 years. And now I'm sitting up in here and the battery won't charge. Okay. So I had to go to the gym for 2-3 days, you know, without no headphones. I'm like, man, you know what? I can do this. I couldn't. I have to be literally in almost solitary confinement to get anything done. You know, but that's just who I am. Learn to embrace oneself. Learn to laugh at yourself. You know, find some joy in this world. Otherwise, you're going to succumb to the evil one, to the enemy. You're going to be so engrossed in hate that life isn't worth living. You know, go out and have some fun, laugh, find some joy.
Definitely. We're going to go and check out a quick video. Let's see. In this video we're going to watch, there was a brother in the Nation of Islam who killed himself, and Minister Farrakhan is addressing it. And so we're going to look at part of it and see what the minister had to say. Oops.
Because this didn't have to happen. But you foolish young people, you make a bond with one another to hide each other's crap. So I'm low down and you low down. You don't tell on me and I won't tell on you. What the hell kind of brotherhood you think we trying to build here? Go ahead. Teach. You see, don't be no snitch. Don't tell nobody. When you see somebody coughing and they can't stop, you're gonna say, don't tell nobody, and the person is coughing, is sick. When somebody starts talking about suicide, there's sickness there, and you better tell somebody. That's right, that's right. Well, I ain't gonna tell the minister because he may get in trouble. He's already in trouble. Go ahead. You young men, listen. You didn't come into no plaything here. That's right. This ain't no plaything, man. You sisters, this ain't no plaything. You hide each other's filth, and you know what the next one is doing. That's right. This one is in a lesbian affair. This one is in a homosexual affair. This one is drinking. That one is smoking. This one is doing that. This one is turning tricks. This one is doing drugs. And you know it. And you know it. That's right. And you won't open your mouth and say something so that somebody can get help. What kind of Muslim are you? What kind of low-down hypocrite are you that you can see your brother going to hell and won't open your mouth to try to pull him back or pull her back and save yourself from destruction? I'm so tonight, I don't even think I can talk. Sorry. Go on, brother. Right ahead. Because I see you. I woke up the other night in the middle of the night in New York, and I called Ishmael. Well, Ishmael called me. And I said, tell him this, and that. Because Allah has shown me something in Aaron's death. He didn't die for nothing.
No, sir.
He was one of the best among you.
That's right.
But falling victim to the law, and some of you knew it.
Come on.
Some of you been falling victim to the law for years.
Come on.
Go ahead.
You hide each other and come to class. Hide each other. Come to FOI. Hide each other and have a task force meeting. What kind of task force?
Come on.
Who's your taskmaster?
Good question.
Talking about we're gonna make sure the nation never falls again.
Listen.
How? By involving yourself in activity that you know is against the law, you're gonna preserve the nation from falling, and you are diving off a cliff?
Listen.
Showing you when you go blind, you're blind, man. And if your leadership is blind and the blind lead the blind, both fall in the ditch. We lost a brother. Because we're not mindful of the law. You know what the law says? Report all slackness, weakness, and wrongdoing. Is that the law?
Yes, sir.
Why don't you do it? Well, you know, I don't want to report my sister because I don't want her to think, you know what I mean, that I'm snitching, or I don't want brothers to think, you know what I mean, that I'm holier than thou. And you know why we report all slackness? Because this is a brotherhood that has its strength in right.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna say that again. This is a brotherhood that has its strength in right.
Yes, sir.
And if you think I'm just talking about brotherhood, I'll make it even clearer. This is a sisterhood
That's right.
that has its strength in right.
Yes, sir.
You're in the midst of your enemies. And we cannot afford for God to be absent from us, but wrongdoing will keep us separated from God and make us a prey in the hand of our enemies.
Yes, sir.
Some of these brothers,
Go ahead.
they're little thugs and criminals.
That's right.
Well, I don't mind you being a thug or a criminal, but when you come here, we're supposed to end that.
That's right, sir. Yes, sir.
But how can they end it if the lieutenants or the captain or the ministers are not watchers over the flock? The flock can't watch itself. They should be looked after. It's just a fact.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But how many of you who are in positions of authority know what to look for? How can you tell when somebody's getting weak so you can give them strength and stand them up when it's falling down? How can you tell if you don't know what to look for? We got these positions, but what are they for? They're guardians of the flock. Every one of these young brothers and sisters or older brothers and sisters that come to the nation, they're not my sheep or my flock. That's God's flock.
That's right, sir. That's right.
And our sacred duty is to watch out for them, that their own weakness does not overcome them and that the weakness of others does not affect them.
Now, this lecture right here, this is suicide and the causes of homosexuality. Like Mayat said, the spirit, that rainbow thing, was trying to secretly creep into the nation, and Allah put a stop to it. That's my 2 cents. The brother that the minister is talking about committed suicide because he was getting caught up in a homosexual relationship. And none of the brothers or sisters around him would say anything. They never reported it like they were supposed to, so that the brother could get help. And, you know, this brother, the minister, vouched for him to get into college and everything. So the minister was very pissed. I mean, he was really hot on this one. I mean, I never heard a lecture where the minister cussed so much. He was hot about it. I want to go to the point where he talked about, you know, you got to know what to look for, because, you know, you're guardians of the flock. You have to, you know, look after them. In this time setting that we're in, Doc, how is that done, you think, in the best manner?
You know, it's one of the reasons why you got to have some familiarity with people. You know, you have to have a covenant with them, a relationship with them, so that you're able to discern when something is amiss, when something is not right. So you got to have that relationship pre-existing, and once you have that, you can tell when something's not quite right. One of my one of my college roommates, he went through extreme depression for years, and in many ways is still dealing with it. And we tried to keep our hands on him. We tried to keep, you know, we tried to deal with him and cater with him, in addition to the professional help that he was getting. And still to this day, it's sometimes a very tenuous situation and what have you. So as far as what you're looking for, I believe that you're looking for a break from who you know that they are, and for what you know about them and what have you. Yeah.
Wow. You know, we're all in this journey called life, and you know, nobody's on an island by themselves, even though it may seem like it. You're not on the island by yourself. You know, reach out to somebody, say something, you know, because we would never want to get a message that, you know, so-and-so has taken their life.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely would not want to receive any kind of information like that. That would be a definite, a sad day for us, a very grievous day for us.
And understand that people are not mind readers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just need to talk, let us know. You know, I talk to, you know, to some of my students. They're, you know, they're some of the strangest people that I've ever met in my life. But if they need to talk, we'll sit there and we'll talk. You know, I have a Zoom session that I'm doing tomorrow at 9:30 with a student who quite simply just wants to talk. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, what's your availability? Are you available at this time? And we're gonna sit down and we're gonna chop it up. And many people just, you know, they just need somebody to talk to know that somebody actually cares, you know, about them. And you know, it's one of the things I'll say. You know, you heard Brother Maurice talking about sending me a text and things like that. Any of you can send me a text if you need to talk. Let's jump on Zoom and let's hammer something out. Even if the conversation is about everything but nothing. Okay, you don't have to, you know, to not be included, to not talk, you know, and what have you. Because you know, and the thing I'll say is I recognize that oftentimes people look at me and say, that's probably the coolest dude in Houston, Texas. Social calendar full. Nothing could be further from it. I am cool. But social calendar wise, I'm usually sitting here writing and working, and I got time. You know, if you need to chop it up, I got time. It's not a problem.
Definitely, definitely. You know, I think Mayat had even suggested that, you know, we do a Zoom call, and just let people come on and just, you know, talk. Not something that we put on YouTube, but, you know,
Yeah, I mean that's
people
something we were
come in.
doing before. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's do it. I mean, I'm down. Let me know.
Definitely, definitely. So yeah, we can start doing that. We are at our time. Doc, any closing comments which you would like to say?
You
Anything
know,
special to the letter writer?
love love yourself. Love yourself enough and trust God enough to allow Him to position you in a better place. Um, you don't want to harm yourself, and you don't want to harm others, because once that occurs, then we're in a whole different ball game of things. And you know, if you've been around us anytime, you know that we have our ebbs and flows. Um, Understand that you're not alone, and understand that you got to stay in the game. Whatever that means for you, stay in the game. It may mean, you know, just resituating yourself professionally. It may mean taking a time out from some of the things that are stressing you out. Um, but you know, you go ahead and you figure it out, and you allow that village that's around you and that's available to you to help you figure it out and to support you. God bless you, and I'll be praying for you.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you, Doc. And you know, I say this is that, you know, it's one thing to not have knowledge of self, and it is another thing to have that knowledge. And when you do have that knowledge and you know who the God is, then that gives you a responsibility. And in this life, we will be tried. And so there are certain things that God has to put us through so that we can get stronger in those areas, so that the enemy is not able to destroy us. Um, and so, you know, I would definitely urge you to pray, um, seek the assistance of the God. Don't turn your back on him, because if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't be here. There's things that just has to be done. And you know, as we continue to go through time, different things will happen. But if we try to stay as grounded as we can, and you know, I think Doc has said it, you know, that you know, there will be people that come into our lives, you know, that God will send them there because they're there to help you. Um, and we got to be able to receive the help, and be, you know, mindful of what's being said. But, we thank everybody for watching. We thank everybody for commenting. We definitely love you. As Doc said, this is a labor of love. And there's not enough words that we can say thank you enough, because we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. That's for sure. And as we always say, you kill the nigga in you, I'm going to kill the nigga in me, and our God will reign supreme. We are Black first, today, tomorrow, and forever. Love you, family. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom.
Peace.
So you better get the message and get it straight.
You're going to need some bridge work. It's simple as that.
Because we're living in judgment. We're living in implementation.